I'm not going to say the thing we're all supposed to say right now. You know why? I never want to be employed again. No, because while I do believe political violence has no place in our politics, it's already here.
Joe Biden broke America's pledge to never leave a man behind. Nancy Pelosi is sneaking the Green New Deal into the $3.5 trillion budget. And in 2022, I'm going to blow away the Democrat socialist agenda.
Well, I'll tell anybody. I got them AR-15s at home, and I like to go target shooting and all that, but that's not what they're there for. And I'm not ashamed to say it. I'm probably not supposed to say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I got them AR-15s in case the government gets too big for its britches. Because I'm going to fill the backside of them britches with some lead. We now find ourselves struggling with people who have evil intents. You know, there's a time when we used to meet evil on the battlefield, and guess what we did to it? We killed it. Some liberal somewhere is going to say that sounds awful. Too bad. Get mad at me if you want to. Some folks need killing. It's time for somebody to say it.
Political violence is wrong. Political violence is bad. Political violence brings nothing but chaos. These are things that I have been saying for years while living under a presidency of Donald Trump. While watching a campaign in 2015 and 2016 of Donald Trump, where he promoted violence, he encouraged violence, he incited violence, he inspired violence, not only as a candidate, but also as a president. The right now is apoplectic over the shooting at Donald Trump, as well, I guess they should be. But it should not be a surprise to them what took place. I tweeted this yesterday that when you promote and encourage violence in politics, eventually you're going to reap what you sow. It's not that I'm happy that this happened, because I am not happy that this happened. If anything, this elevates Donald Trump's chances of winning in November. This should be for you a moment of clarity and action, a moment for you to get involved, because now we're at a deficit more than we were. The fact that the GOP has for years and years and years snickered, laughed, mocked, made fun of, belittled people who were the victims of political violence.
And we'll stand up to crazy Nancy Pelosi, who ruined San Francisco. How's her husband doing, by the way? Anybody know? And she's against building a wall at our border, even though she has a wall around her house, which obviously didn't do a very good job.
It wasn't just Donald Trump either. It was his dopey son, Don Jr. Got my Paul Pelosi Halloween costume ready, a pair of underwear and a hammer. And now that it's their guy, it's, this is the Democrats' fault. There's no place for political violence.
Hello, North Carolina and America. This is your Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina, Mark Robinson. I guess all of you are doing the same thing that my family and I are doing. We are watching the tragic events unfold with former President Donald Trump. We're praying for his speedy recovery and that all involved in the incident will be well. We see what's happening here in America right now. Passions are inflamed on both sides of the aisle. But please, let's all remember who we are. We are Americans, and let's unify in the fact that violence has no place in political discourse. We must remain calm, we must remain steadfast, and we must remain unified on at least that point. For the safety of our country and our citizens, and for our republic as a whole, we need calm, we need peace, and we need to realize, again, violence has no place in political discourse. I'm praying for the entire country. I'm praying for North Carolina. I'm praying for President Trump. And I'm praying for all Americans, that we can look at this incident and take a deep breath and realize we're all Americans. We need to stand up for what's right. And what's right is being peaceful throughout our democratic process, and let it play out as it will. God bless you, and we'll see you soon. I'm praying for the entire country. I'm praying for North Carolina. I'm praying for President Trump. And I'm praying for all Americans.
Donald Trump has called his political opponents vermin. He has called immigrants animals. He's warned of a bloodbath if he doesn't win in November. And all of this creates an atmosphere, a toxic soup of malevolence, where people who are disturbed or troubled take action. Wrong, immoral, chaos-bringing action. But what do they expect to happen? What do Republicans think the outcome will be when their guy promotes, incites, encourages, inspires violence? And now they're whining to all high heaven about political violence. Hypocrites and liars. And who are you, Republicans? I want these actions for thee, but not for me. I will gallivant and go about my day, mocking political violence and encouraging it, inciting an insurrection against the country, a violent, deadly insurrection. But then when little blood is shed on Donald Trump, it's a whole different story. Remember the kidnapping plot against the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer? Donald Trump had some stuff to say about that. And spoiler alert, it wasn't empathetic. It wasn't sympathetic. He called it a hoax or a fake deal.
As another example, the sting that they did involving Gretchen Whitmer was fake. Just like those who instigated January 6th. It was a fake deal. Fake. It was a fake deal. Gretchen Whitmer was in less danger than the people sitting in this room right now, it seems to me. And you look to see what happened, and trials are going on all over the place, and I guess a lot of people, Tudor, are being exonerated, aren't they, huh? They're being exonerated.
And of course, it wouldn't be a Jesse Dollemore Daily video without talking about the violent, deadly insurrection and Donald Trump's response when told about the chanting, "Hang Mike Pence," while a hangman's gallows was on the lawn of the United States Capitol for ready use against Mike Pence. Listen to Liz Cheney explain what Donald Trump's reaction was that was sworn testimony in their depositions.
Supporters at the Capitol, and I quote, "We're doing what they should be doing." This is what he told his staff as they pleaded with him to call off the mob, to instruct his supporters to leave. Over a series of hearings in the coming weeks, you will hear testimony, live and on video, from more than half a dozen former White House staff in the Trump administration, all of whom were in the West Wing of the White House on January 6th. You will hear testimony that, quote, "The president did not really want to put anything out calling off the riot or asking his supporters to leave." You will hear that President Trump was yelling and, quote, "really angry at advisors who told him he needed to be doing something more." And aware of the rioters' chants to hang Mike Pence, the president responded with this sentiment, quote, "Maybe our supporters have the right idea. Mike Pence, quote, deserves it." You will hear evidence that President Trump refused for hours to do what his staff, his family, and many of his other advisors begged him to do, immediately instruct his supporters to stand down and evacuate the Capitol.
And all of this gets seeded in the brains of MAGA world. Remember a few months ago when this doofus, this moron in Long Island was driving around with his truck with Joe Biden depicted as hogtied on the back? This is what you get with the Let's Go Brandon violent rhetoric. This is what you get. And if you're out there saying, well, that's one guy, this has nothing to do with Trump necessarily, I would just point your attention to Donald Trump actually posting a picture of this on Truth Social. 3/28/24, Long Island, New York, celebrating a depiction of his political opponent and the current seated United States president hogtied, subject to violence, kidnapping. So who was the shooter? Well, a few things he wasn't. We can talk about what he was. A white, male, registered Republican, young man. He wasn't a Democrat. He wasn't an immigrant. He wasn't a woman seeking an abortion. He wasn't Antifa or a Black Lives Matter supporter. Got a couple other things here. He wasn't gay or lesbian, transgender. He wasn't a drag queen. He was a white, young male Republican. And also, let's just say to the audience, to you, the Democrat in the audience who's a regular viewer, we should check ourselves when trying to find some cogent political philosophy out of this person, some motivation that we can understand. Because when John Hinckley Jr. tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan in 1981, I believe in April, he had just taken office. It wasn't for some sane reason that we could wrap our brains around. No, he didn't like this policy or he didn't like the suits that he wore. It was to impress Jodie Foster. It was unhinged. It was psychotic, probably literally and clinically. So we need to pump our brakes a little bit until we really get to the bottom of what this person's motivations were. I'm going to read a little bit from this Washington Post article about who he was. Crooks was 20 years old from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, about 40 miles south of Butler, the location of Saturday night's Trump rally, the FBI said. Crooks was registered as a Republican, according to Pennsylvania's voter status records. The suspected shooter used an AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle to carry out the attack, a U.S. official and another person familiar with the investigation said, speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss a probe that is still in its early stages. So that's really about all we know right now. White, male, Republican. With free and easy access to a weapon of war. Another thing Republicans promote, encourage, incite, inspire. There will not be a reflective look on what their policies are and the things that they promote and believe. There won't be. There will be pointing fingers and projection and lies and subterfuge and distraction on the part of Republicans. And it's already beginning. That'll be the next video that I do. It won't be a sober-minded look back at, what did we do? Where did we go wrong? What are the policies that we put forth or the policies that we throw obstruction against for progress? Here's Donald Trump's post on Truth Social. I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of law enforcement for their rapid response on the shooting that just took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. Most importantly, I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person, at the rally who was killed, and also to the family of another person that was badly injured. It is incredible that such an act can take place in our country. Is it incredible, Donald Trump? Is it incredible? Is it unexpected? No self-reflection whatsoever. It is incredible that such an act can take place in our country. Nothing is known at this time about the shooter other than what I've already told you, who is now dead. I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong in that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through my skin. Much bleeding took place, so I realized then what was happening. God bless America. This is where we are. I would just caution everybody. We don't want this because look, if you're expecting me to be like, oh, Donald Trump, I feel so bad. I hope he's okay. I don't give a single shit whether Donald Trump's okay. Donald Trump is a fascist who's attempting to destroy America brick by brick, ending democracy. I don't care. But I do care about our country. I do care about the preservation of our democracy. I do care about whether Joe Biden wins this election and whether Donald Trump loses it. That is what I am focused on. So let this be the thing you focus on. Let this be the thing, again, that animates you to organizing, to doing whatever you can do to ensure Donald Trump loses at the ballot box, not loses his life. Violence in politics is wrong, and it only brings chaos.